All right, so the problems that I'm going to be doing today are the problems from the worksheet that I gave you on Friday, and it's a mix of special right triangles, so you're going to have some 30, 60, 90 and some 45, 45, 90. So I'm not going to do all of the problems, but I picked a mix of problems that if you could do these, then you can use the same, you can use these problems to kind of figure out how to do the rest of them. So as we look at our first problem here that I'm going to do is number 3. We recognize that it's a 45, 45, 90 triangle. This is 90, this is 45, this is 45. I showed you that you should label the legs and the hypotenuse. So this is the leg, this is the leg, and this is the hypotenuse. And what's special about a 45, 45, 90 triangle is its isosceles. So if I know this side is 3 root 2, then I know y has to be 3 root 2. Nice easy problem. So the only thing left is to find what the hypotenuse is. So in this triangle, we know that the hypotenuse is equal to the leg times root 2. And we know that this is x, and we know the leg is 3 root 2 times root 2. So when you take root 2 times root 2, you get x equals 3 square root 4, because we can multiply 2 and 2 because they're both under the square root. And then we realize the square root of 4 is a perfect square, so then x is equal to 3 times 2, which is ultimately 6. So our hypotenuse is equal to 6. All right, so our next problem here is number 4. And as we look at this triangle, this is a special right triangle. It's a 30, 60, 90. We know if this is 90 and this is 60, this has to be 30. I think it's always good to start with labeling the sides of the triangle. So this side is the hypotenuse. This side is the long leg because it's opposite 60. And this side over here is the short leg because it's opposite 30 degrees, which is the smallest angle. In a 30, 60, 90 triangle, we learned that the hypotenuse is equal to 2 times the short leg, and we learned that the long leg is equal to the short leg times root 3. So when I look at this problem, I see that I have the long leg. So this first formula isn't going to help me because it has hypotenuse and short leg. So in order to get the hypotenuse, I have to first find the short leg. So I'm going to use this formula over here. I know that this is 9 root 3 over 2 equals the short leg, which is y times root 3. Now we talked about this a little bit on Friday. Instead of dividing by root 3, which we absolutely can do, I think it's a little easier to look at it this way. 1 times 1 divided, or 1 times 1, let me try that again. Root 3 times 1 divided by root 3. And we're multiplying by the reciprocal. And so when we do that, root 3 and root 3 cancel out. But we also have to remember, if you multiply by 1 over root 3 here, we multiply by 1 over root 3 over on the other side. And we find that it also cancels out, so we get y, the root 3's cancel out, and we get y equals 9 divided by 2. And this is our short leg. Now I want to get the hypotenuse, so I know the hypotenuse is going to be x equals 2 times 9 divided by 2. And we know this is 2 over 1, so the 2's cancel, and then we get x equals 9. So our hypotenuse over here is 9. All right, so now we want to do the next problem. And as we look at the next problem, it's also a 30, 60, 90 triangle. So we know this is 30. And to make it a little easy for us, what they gave us was this is the short leg. I know it's the short leg because it's opposite 30. I know that this side over here is the hypotenuse because it's opposite the 90-degree angle. And I know this side has to be the long leg because it's opposite the 60-degree angle. Now, what we learned in 30, 60, 90 is the hypotenuse is equal to the short leg times 2, and the long leg is equal to the short leg times root 3. So I know that the hypotenuse is m, and I know the short leg is 3 halves, and then I know this is 2 over 1. Now, we look at it this way because then we see that, oh, these two are going to cancel, and so then we get m equals 3. So we know that our hypotenuse is 3. Now I want to find what the long leg is, and I know that the long leg, which is n, is going to equal the short leg 3 halves root 3. And remember, just like 2 is over 1, root 3 is over 1. So then n equals 3 root 3 over 2. All right, now we're on to our next problem, and we see that our next problem is a 45, 45, 90, and I know this because if this angle is 45, this angle has to be 45 for these to all be 180. I know that this is a leg, and I know this is a leg. Now some of you guys are going, well, where's my short leg? Where's my long leg? Well, remember, if these two angles are equal, then we know these two sides have to be equal. So we're not going to have a short leg and a long leg. So the only formula that I have is that the hypotenuse equals the leg times root 2. Now when you look at this, we know that the hypotenuse is 7, the leg is x, and this is root 2. Now we talked about this. The easiest way to do this is multiply by 1 over root 2 and then multiply by 1 over root 2. So these cancel, so you're left with x. And then this is 7 over 1. 1 times 7 is 7. Root 2 times 1 is root 2. And we know that the leg here is 7 divided by root 2. Now remember, if these are equal, and this is 7 divided by root 2, then what's this over here? We know y is equal to 7 divided by root 2. All right, so we've got another problem here. It's a 30, 60, 90. This is 30. I like to label all my sides. I know this is the hypotenuse. Why? Because it's opposite the 90-degree angle. This is 30 degrees. This is the short leg because it's opposite the smallest angle. This is 60, so that makes this side the long leg. So now we have two formulas that we can use here, and we know that the hypotenuse is equal to the short leg times 2. Now I'm going to start with this one because since I have the hypotenuse, I can't go from the hypotenuse to the long leg because the long leg is equal to the short leg times root 3. So in order to get the long leg, I need the short leg first. So I have to go here first, and then I come over to get the long leg. So if I know the hypotenuse is 4, I know the short leg is equal to y, and this is 2. This is 2 times y, so we divide by 2, and so what do we get y is equal to? 2. So we know that our short leg is equal to 2. Now I would like to find the long leg. And so since I know what the short leg is, I can plug it into my equation here and I get x equals 2 times root 3. And this is what my long leg is. All right, moving on to our next problem. And as I look at this problem, I can see that I have a 45, 45, 90. I know that this side is going to equal this side. I know that this is a leg. I know this is a leg. And I know that the hypotenuse is going to equal the leg times root 2 because it is a 45, 45, 90 triangle. The hypotenuse is 9, and I don't know what the leg is. We'll say a times root 2. We're going to multiply by 1 over root 2, and then we're going to multiply by 1 over root 2. So then we know that a equals 9 divided by root 2. And so if we've got a, we also know b is going to be equal to the same thing because they're both legs. And that's my answer. All right, so the last problem that I'm going to do today is the number 18. And number 18 is a 45, 45, 90 problem. And we know that this side equals this side, so we know that y has to be 9 root 2 divided by 2. So what I need to do is find x, which I know this is the hypotenuse. We know this is a leg, this is a leg. So I know that the hypotenuse equals the leg times root 2 in a 45, 45, 90 triangle. The hypotenuse is x, and so the leg is 9 root 2 over 2 times root 2. But what do we know the root 2 is over? It is over 1. And when we look at this, we multiply the top, and I can't multiply root 2 times 9 because it isn't under a square root. But root 2 times root 2 is going to be equal to 9 root 4 over 2. Well, now we need to remember, what's the square root of 4? Okay, so the square root of 4 is 9 times 2. 9 times 2 divided by 2, and what can we do with the 2's? We can cancel them out. So x equals to 9. And that is what our hypotenuse is 9. All right, hopefully doing these example problems will help you complete the worksheet. Remember, do the best you can and show your work. I think I modeled some good things. Label the triangle. Make sure you know what type of triangle it is. Make sure you write the formula and then substitute what your unknowns are and balance the equation. All right, look forward to talking to you on Monday. Have a great weekend.